What's going on, Bud Mashers? I'm Mr. Gamer, and I couldn't even think of a clever title for this little thing. Frankly, this is bullshit. Unfortunately, we have experienced another mass shooting in Florida. Not even as Mr. Gamer, I realize that a whole lot of people believe that thoughts and prayers mean absolutely nothing. I wish that there was a whole lot more that I can do or say about that. But that's actually not the point of my first vlog. Yay, right? One thing that I can't stand is laziness. Regardless, even at my day job, I just fucking hate lazy people. I really do. And there goes that monetization. But then again, YouTube changed the rules, so I'm not really going to be monetized anyway. So I don't have anything to worry about. People obviously have their opinions about a particular thing, and especially when something terrible happens, you want someone to blame. You want something to blame, something more than just the shooter. You want to have something else. What caused the shooter to do what he or she did? And I feel it particularly lazy when, once again, like clockwork, video games. Well, not just video games specifically. Rap music, Hollywood, and video games are blamed for events like this. There were two politicians, one Matt Bevin and one Brian Mass, who were interviewed about this. Matt Bevin being a politician in Florida and Brian Mass being a politician in Kentucky. I honestly really want to touch on what Brian Mass has said, which was that video games are forced down your throat under the guise of free speech. And that though video games have ratings like, E for everyone, T for teens, M for mature and things like that, nothing can really be done. It doesn't matter. Like, the kids are going to play it anyway. I do not know what the actions of the shooter was. But what I can't fucking stand is that once again, video games, among other things, are blamed for this terrible tragedy. To his comment that is forced down your throat, you actually don't have to play them. You will see advertisements like you see advertisements for whatever. Victoria's Secret. Every single time I walk to my day job, I see an advertisement for Gap in that stupid little dance. Every single time I look on the side of a bus, it's something, some sort of ad, some sort of something. Now, do I have to buy their product? Do I have to partake in it? No. No, I don't. Do you have to partake in video games? No. No, you don't. So to say that it's forced down your throat under the guise of free speech, because I can only say, and mind you, this is a stretch, based off that assumption, you just really don't like free speech because it gets in your way of whatever political boner that you're trying to thrust in front of somebody. I don't understand why video games have to be blamed for the terrible, violent tragedies of some people who aren't quite right. That's the best way I can put it. People who just aren't quite right, because personally, I don't think you'd be quite right and do something as terrible as that. And I will even go to offense of Hollywood and rap music, because once again, they are forms of media that you don't have to take in. Yes, you see them, but that doesn't mean that you have to take it in. Mind you, between the three, video games are a very interactive media. And obviously people like the Matt Bevins and Brian Masses of the world are gonna go after that old Call of Duty rearing its ugly head again. I mean, mind you, it isn't a very good game anyway, but the idea, it is a very violent video game where one could be desensitized to it. Now, there have been no scientific evidence to back that up. So, congratulations, Matt and Brian, for speaking out of your wrinkly ass. When I first heard this, and I first listened to the two interviews, mind you, I was pissed off. And I was pissed off because something that I love is being blamed for something terrible that's happened. When there are wonderful, wonderful things that video games have done. The first thing, AGDQ, awesome video games done quick. They raise money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation, Doctors Without Borders, and other charities that I just can't think of right now. And yes, some of those games that they play are violent. But also some of those games are, you know, I Want to Be the Man, or Super Monkey Ball, or Sonic. Are they bad too? Or are you just thinking about the terrible examples of violent video games with no evidence to base your claims? But you're a politician and people will listen to you. Look at fucking Donald Trump. Forgive me if there are any Trump supporters listening. I will scream it from the highest place that I could possibly climb given my athleticism. Video games are not to blame for the terrible things that happen in this world. People do the terrible things. Video games don't make you. One can argue that perhaps video games such as, for example, Doom, shouldn't be played by someone who isn't in the right state of mind. That's not the fault of the developer for creating the video game. It isn't. To say that little Billy might be prone to violence because he decided to play Grand Theft Auto Vice City when he wasn't supposed to. It's not the fault of the video game for existing. Now, that's not to say that Billy will go out and beat up women or try to steal cars or, you know, shoot a guy just because he needs money or something ridiculous like that. But I will say, and I would love an argument with anyone about this. It's not the video game's fault. I was able to see games and, well, I was able to see and play games that were not in my age range. And I learned something. There's a reason you're not supposed to be 16 years old playing those games. It's true. But to say that video games cause things like this because it desensitizes you and it glorifies violence, that is one half of the equation. Because in an example that people bring up a lot, being Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty, it's not as if you can just gun down everyone and you are invincible. Your enemies will shoot back. In Grand Theft Auto, the police will find you. SWAT teams, tanks, helicopters, even random people on the street will retaliate. Unfortunately, with just the way video games are, you don't necessarily truly feel the repercussions of your actions. But it's a video game. It's also a certain level of escapism. I don't want to be in reality right now. I want to be a Lombax with a huge wrench, about half the size, as big as I am, with a little wisecracking robot on my back, carrying weapons that definitely should not be big enough for me to carry, and just blowing shit up. I'm sure not a Lombax. I'm pretty sure I didn't wake up as one this morning. So I feel as if there's going to be a big push again against video games. And again, I will gladly be on the front lines defending video games again. It's not the video game's fault for the terrible things that people do. A lot of people will say that there needs to be more gun control. Unfortunately, I cannot speak on anything like that. I just can't. The only thing that I can speak on and will actively defend is the video games. Video games did not give the person the tools, the blueprints, the plans, or whatever to do this terrible, terrible thing. No matter how much a game upsets me, no matter how much I rage in front of a camera with getting over with Bennett Foddy or Cuphead or anything like that, I still have the ability at the end of that to turn it off and to walk away. You always do. With video games specifically. But you always have the ability to walk away from a video game. You don't like it. It's making you angry. Walk away. You really don't like it. Turn it off. Return it. Rage about it online. Talk, give it a, half a star rating or something like that. We need to find a solution for a problem that we have not been able to solve. And the problem does not lie with video games. They don't. I will be talking about this in my podcast. I will do my best to be as calm as possible, though I make absolutely zero promises. Now, there are video games that will hype up and ramp up the violence. There's Hatred, there's Postal, Bayonetta, Doom. I can go on, but you choose to go to that. Video games don't make you do that. No matter how gory and violent a game can be, or how cute and fluffy a game could be. We need to figure out something besides video games to blame. We need to find something besides that darn media to blame when terrible things like this happen, because we're not getting any closer to an actual solution. Thanks for listening. Mr. Gamer, signing off.